end and just push for another win. And then next week we play Lebanon, and that's our rival. So I'm hoping that we can come through with another win.
Little Yellow Jackets there, huh? Are your goals the same as Caden's?
Yeah, can't beat that.
All right. Hey, thanks for player profile.
Of course.
Thank you, Caden.
Of course, thank you.
Well, we're here with the Coach's Corner, and we've got Coach Austin here with the Camden Lakers volleyball team. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great. How are you?
All right. Now, you had some games since last we talked. How'd they go?
We got beat by Helias the other night in 3. First game of the season, we had a lot of jitters. We made a lot of errors. The good news is it's things that we can get better at, things that we can work on, things that, the girls realize, okay, it's out of our system. Get to go compete again tomorrow. So we're hoping to have a better showing tomorrow.
Okay, so you say good things and bad things, which is, as a coach, you need to be looking
Absolutely.
at that. Let's look at the bad things first. What are the things that you want to correct?
We have to find consistency, from our hitters, from our passing. It was almost like, all things are not on fire the other night. If we had a good pass, we would miss hit a ball. If we had a bad pass, we would have to have an out-of-system ball. We'd have a good swing. So it was never felt like we kind of got in a rhythm of being consistent the entire match.
And have that setup person, to get that setup, we want the ball here every time. We want this here. And that takes consistency by the setter.
Absolutely. Bella Asante did a really good job. We started with her and Madison Daniels both setting, and then I quickly went to a 5-1 on that offense right there just because our passing was so off, trying to find some consistency out of a setter. She started for us as a freshman and ran a 5-1 last year and did a phenomenal job. And this year we needed her to swing a little bit. So we started in a 6-2. But the beauty of our kids is they're flexible enough between her and Madison that if I say, hey, we've got to switch the offense, we've got to do this, either of them can do either thing for us. Bella did a really good job under pressure, won some overpass balls for us, some tight balls that were to the net. Her running a 5-1 and being on the front row. If we overpass, we've got a shot at her taking something over instead of just having to play defense on it. So she did a really good job adjusting when I needed her to adjust.
So what did you see that you said, yes, we got that?
Like I said, when our passing was off and we needed to flip to that, when we were able to just putting the ball consistently in one person's hands, I felt like was a yes moment for us. It was like, okay, if this is happening, then this has to happen. And that was our then moment was, okay, I've got it here. I've got to find. I have one person that the ball is coming out of. I have these people playing defense. Our hitters connected. Bella Asante to Bella Brewer was a phenomenal connection when we had a great pass. Mackenzie Swanson, she's another middle for us. She did a really good job at, staying behind the ball and trying to find places to score points. Our pins have to get better at finding that consistency, like I said, and those are things that we spent yesterday working on. Today we're going to work on it more, and they've owned it, and they've said, hey, this is my job. I'm going to take this, seriously, and we're going to get better at this.
Okay, it's a long season. It's about 25 games?
Yeah, we play almost 30 matches a season.
So, and this is still at the front end, although I think you look at it, what are we going to do now for late October going into playoffs, not just win the one for today?
Yeah, it's finding my consistent lineup. It's finding those 6 girls, those 7 girls on the court that just absolutely mesh together, finding, what offense we're going to run, who I need to hit, and what 2 kids can play by each other. I mean, that's so important. If I'm running a 5-1, I've got to have a dynamic middle that can go behind to run the offense there to make the blocking scheme on the other side work. I've got to find, these 2 people block better together. These 2 people play better in the back row together. And those are things that we are still working on, just starting our season right there. So looking forward to late October and finding that one lineup that just really just can set us apart from everybody else.
Do you have a key phrase that you set up this year? Like some coaches will say, just one more, or 2 is not an option. I mean, what would be yours for this year? We
have a so what, now what mentality. You mispass the ball, you make an error, you do something wrong, so what? We can't fix that. We can only make it better from here on out. So, if I mispass this ball, what's my role now? And we continually are saying, so what, now what? So what, now what? What comes next? We have to be ready for what happens next because you have to have short-term memory in volleyball. I mean, that rally is fast, coming in and out, and you got to be able to recover from that. As if we say you have a bleeder sometimes, if we let one ball turn into 2 and 3 balls, then we lose that mentality, and sometimes it's hard for us to recover from that. So we've been really focusing on so what, now what.
Okay, player profile. We're going to be talking to one. Who would you suggest we talk to first?
I'm going to say Bella Asante this week. Bella is a sophomore for us. Like I said, she set for us last year. She is just that level-headed, consistent, putting her hands on the ball. She's, again, playing front row for us this year. So I'm too going to take some swings at a ball starting tomorrow. and just kind of hit the crap out of the ball yesterday. You know, it just makes you excited to see her on the front row. She's been a great leader for us. Leader in actions, you know, she's not very vocal. We've been working on that quarterback mentality of this is your people. You've got to step up here and take the reins.
And as a sophomore, that's great because now you're building into senior level.
Absolutely. And that in the long run, I think, you know, you see her next year as a junior. I mean, that's just going to be a no-brainer for her with everybody that we have coming back. But this year, this is what we're working on. She can do it. She can put them on her back, and she can be a great leader for them. But we just are trying to instill in her that this is your role. We need you to do this. She did a great job the other night of when I switched the role, just consistency and finding, you know, with our passing was off, she was able to put the ball somewhere where she needed the ball to go. And I appreciated her, you know, making the adjustment that we needed her to make.
Well, we'll look forward to talking with Bella, and then we look forward to talking with you next week.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
We're here on the campus of Camdenton High School, and this is the home of the Lady Lakers volleyball team. I've got Bella Asante with me. How you doing, Bella?
I'm doing good, thank you.
How's your season going so far?
Well, we just had our first home game and we lost in 3, but we are doing pretty good, and we're just going to practice more and keep playing, and hopefully that was just like getting out our jitters, I think.
I had to make sure.
Okay.
Okay, so last year you had a fairly good record. I think it was like 18 wins or something like that.
Yeah. Last year we did really good. It was, I think the coaches said the most wins they've had, like the second or third most wins they've ever had with this since they've been coaching. So it was a very good record.
Okay, on the team, what would be your primary goal?
My primary.
I should say position. What is your primary position?
I'm a setter.
Okay, so it's your responsibility to get it right for the outside hitter or the hitter.
Yes, yeah.
And you have to receive it from the libero?
Yeah, from the libero, from the DSs, anyone who's playing back row.
Okay, how hard is it to do that consistently every time?
It's very difficult, something I'm definitely still working on, haven't mastered at all. It's something we work on every day in practice. It's just like the chemistry just has to be there, and we all just kind of have to be on and make it work if it's not.
It doesn't automatically happen, does it? Because you have to be in a certain position, and that hitter wants that ball to be at a certain height all the time.
Yeah. It takes a lot of work. We work on getting tempos right and getting the hitter to be where they need to be, staying behind the ball, me squaring up and getting the ball where it needs to go. So it's a lot of work that goes into getting that right.
What's the mood on the club?
What do you mean?
The attitude, in other words, the camaraderie. I'll say it different. So what's the camaraderie in the mood amongst the club?
It's very good. We're very tight-knit. Like, we all get along so well. We're all really great friends. And so the chemistry is usually there. Sometimes we'll just have off days. But we all get along really well, and that helps us to be able to produce good things on the court.
Is there a certain mantra or a phrase that comes to your mind that the coach maybe says or you say amongst yourselves when it comes game time?
We always say have energy. We are a very energy-driven group, but we lack it. We lack it very much because we are bad at creating it for ourselves. So something we're always saying is have energy. We're always saying work for it because we need that to thrive, and we're not the best at producing it ourselves. So we've got to have ways to do that.
Okay, what grade are you in school?
I'm in 10th grade.
All right, so you're a sophomore, so you got a couple more years. Do you want to stay with the club all the way through your senior year?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
What is your favorite subject in school?
My favorite subject in school is probably English.
Now, why English and not maybe one of the other subjects?
English is my favorite because I really like reading. I love writing and telling stories, and I don't know, it's just I like getting to express things, and so English gives me a good opportunity to do that.
So where do you see yourself then after high school? Where do you want to go to school?
I want to go to school really anywhere that'll have me. I hopefully want to play volleyball after high school, so really anywhere where I can do that and get a good opportunity to do so.
What would you major in?
I'm deciding between being like an English teacher and an architect. So 2 completely different things, but one of those 2.
There's a gal on the softball team I just talked to. She wants to be an architect as well.
Oh, really?
It might have been, I think it might have been Caden.
Really? That's very cool. Yeah, I've wanted to be an architect for a while now, but I've also always wanted to be a teacher, and since English is my favorite subject, I think that'd be really cool to teach.
If we looked into your iPad or your music playlist, what is your favorite kind of music?
Pop music, specifically Taylor Swift or Harry Styles or One Direction.
Okay, you pretty much know what you want, don't you?
Yes, very much so.
Is it fun being with the girls here on the club?
It's so much fun. We have a blast every single day. We play music during practice, we're jamming out, and it's just so much fun being here.
Thanks for Player Profile.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much.
We'll be back. That's it.
Thank you.
Pretty easy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just talking to somebody.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, thank you. Welcome back to Tailgate Game Day. Guy Wayman along with Rick Hasty, and we're going to be looking at some college games this week, Rick.
There's some excitement that's out there right now. Everybody's got their opinion about who's going to be number 1, who's going to be number 25, who's going to be XYZ. So it depends on what school that you went to.
Yeah, and what is so interesting about this, Rick, is that we have the AP poll and the coaches poll, and normally these don't come out until a little bit down the line. But here at the beginning, Georgia and Michigan, they're number 1 and number 2. But in the AP, they have Ohio State number 3 and Alabama number 4. But in the coaches poll, they flip those. And so they have Alabama number 3 and Ohio State number 4.
Right. Well, and that's something to where that's Saban call. Everybody wants to take care of the king, and so in turn, and like this is, he's earned that privilege and like that. And, you know, Ohio State's not going to play that tough of a schedule in the beginning, and so Alabama itself is a clear favorite between 3 and 4.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Thursday night, and this goes streaming like on Thursday late night, and then it's played right before the Lakers game and all. But on Thursday night, there's some interesting games, but we do have Missouri, and they're hosting South Dakota, and there's a lot of people that are looking for it. And let's put it this way: Missouri's in the SEC.
Right. And the thing with South Dakota, like it is with most powerhouses, their opening game is, I don't want to say it's a laydown, but it's just one that's not as competitive. All right, kind of gets the juices flowing. So, you know, they kind of expect to win that game, although there's some concern, like this says, that's going in Tigerland.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you've got right now a question on the quarterback. Who's going to be the leading quarterback this year? There's 4 candidates. They've got a new offensive coordinator in Kirby Moore. So, I mean, it's something to where the year is an uncertainty, but they called it a make or break year.
Well, yeah, and this is, Drinkwitz and all. He's got that team. This is, I believe, his 3rd year coaching, isn't it, up there in Missouri?
Yes.
And generally, those are the guys that you have. Now, a couple other notables on the Thursday night game is the Big Ten game. And we have the Gophers hosting the Cornhuskers. That's Minnesota and Nebraska. And Nebraska, everyone thought that they were going to be a whole lot better when they brought in Frost, but then they had to let him go because it didn't happen.
Right. And it's also something like this is that, the coaching, a lot of the NFL coaches that haven't made it are starting to be recycled. Okay? And, it's one of these things that Nebraska has got, an inside right now. And I think they'll do well in that game. I would pick Nebraska if I was picking.
All right. And then the other one, and it's Kent State, which is interesting because UCF, and now that's University of Central Florida. That's around Orlando. And so the hurricane that just went through down there did not affect Orlando as much. So that game's going to go on. And but Kent State going in, and UCF wanted to bring them in. Number one, be competitive. But, hey, it's the first one out of the gate.
Well, I lived in South Florida for about 25 years. And just the threat of a hurricane coming through,
yep,
all right, can unravel you. And it makes you have so many adjustments and stuff. So that's going to be a factor. Even though it didn't hit them straight on, all right, it went north of Tampa. But the key thing about it is that UCF is kind of like an unknown, all right, until about 15, 20 years ago. Culpeper came out of there. Okay? And, it's one of those things where they have earned the right to play a good schedule.
Well, but it was like 5 or 6 years ago, they had that unbeaten season. And everybody says, are you going to pay attention to them? Going to pay attention to them. And then the four-letter network, they did not want to pay attention to them because, let's be honest here, that national championship for football, that is solely run and owned by the four-letter network. That's not an NCAA product like it is with March Madness and basketball.
And in the state of Florida, there's 3 schools.
Yeah.
You got Florida State, you got Florida, and you got Miami. Everything else doesn't make any difference.
Now, Gainesville, you talk about the Gators. Now, they had some issues going into that because of the hurricane.
Right. And it's something where anybody, Florida State's going to be affected, all right, by it. And then also, like you say, Florida, it unravels everybody.
Yeah.
All right. And until it passes, the outer portion of a hurricane, for those that have never gone through one, is just as damaging, all right, many times with what the main tunnel is.
Yeah. Well, I worked at a radio station and had to broadcast through 2 hurricanes down there, so I know full well what you're talking about. Friday night, when we're having our normal games here, Missouri State and Kansas. So you think that's going to be a good game?
Yeah, I think, and it's one of those things where Kansas should have the upper hand because it's the larger drawing school. Surprisingly enough, now Missouri State's done pretty well.
Okay, and then Saturday. This is really the beginning of the college games. Is on Saturday. They have the Thursday. They'll have a Friday, but it's really Saturday is when they put their full slate of games in there, isn't it?
Exactly. It's kind of like a preview.